Hi, everybody. So this is really fun. We are back. It's been a while since we did a Talking Doctor Who podcast, since the end of this last series. And we are really excited to start from the beginning and be talking about the first 3 episodes of the first season of this new reboot of Doctor Who. And Jonathan is here with me. And I don't know how frequently we'll do this. I'm not gonna say we'll do it every week, but we'll just clip away at it as best we can. And so you want to kind of introduce yourself, Jonathan?
Hey, my name is Jonathan North. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I had a lot of fun doing the series with Rachel when we were watching the most recent season. And we thought it would be really fun to talk about all the seasons, starting at the beginning, because she's never seen them, and I've seen them multiple times. So we thought it would make a fun show, and I'm gonna have this on my channel as well, but I'm gonna cut it down and make mini episodes out of it. She's gonna have a long, full version podcast, and I'm gonna cut it down to little episodes talking about each episode.
So that'll be really, really fun. Definitely want to check out Jonathan's channel. And before we get started on these 3 episodes, I thought it would be fun just to talk about all that has happened since we last spoke. And we got the announcement of the 13th Doctor. And this was pretty revolutionary that we have our first female Doctor Who that in this next season. Jodie Whittaker, how did you feel about this announcement of the new Doctor?
Well, I don't really know who Jodie Whittaker is. I know she's like a big name over in the UK, but I don't think I've ever seen her in anything. So I guess I feel kind of like I usually feel, because every other announcement of every other Doctor, I don't know who they are. And I feel like I'm not going to judge her before I see her performance. She looks like she'll be great in the part, but I don't know enough about her to be able to say whether or not I will like her as a Doctor or not.
Yeah.
I have a cousin who, we haven't watched all of Doctor Who yet, but she saw the announcement online, and she says that she's seen Jodie Whittaker in, I don't know what, another show from over there, because she watches even more British TV than I do, and she says she's great. So I'm kind of inclined to be with her. I think that it'll be a good change for the show, because Doctor Who has always been about change, and everything always changes in the show. Nothing stays the same for too long, and this is just the next step, I think. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting too. Obviously, I'm not as familiar with the history of Doctor Who, but I never saw anything in what I saw that seemed like it was a really masculine role. Like, people talk about, are they going to have a Jane Bond instead of James Bond? And I don't think that would work, because I do think there are parts of James Bond that are kind of inherently masculine about the role, and I never felt that way about the Doctor. I don't know.
Yeah, this is like a totally different situation, because James Bond is human. The Doctor is an alien, and the Doctor completely changes every aspect of his self from time to time.
Right.
And it's been said for years that they will sometimes, on rare occasions, change gender as well. So it's just part of the mythology of the show, and it's just because it hasn't happened to the Doctor before doesn't mean it can't happen now.
Right. Yeah. She's famous for a show called Broadchurch that people liked a lot. She also did some Black Mirror and some other shows. And so, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to be tough. I think people are going to nitpick and analyze every aspect of it, kind of like with this.
I can already tell that, because every time there's like a news article about the next season of Doctor Who, on Facebook, you'll see the little angry emoji underneath. Like, so many people are hitting they're angry about this, even though the announcement may not have anything to do with the fact that the Doctor is a woman now. They're just angry about Doctor Who in general because of this.
Right.
It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, you've seen the same thing with Star Trek Discovery, and it's just like everything is like, an affront to Star Trek and whatever. And I'm just like, oh, give me a break. And so, hopefully she will do a good job, and we'll be able to. It won't just be a publicity stunt, but it'll be a really fun thing. And I know it definitely means something to young fans, young girls, to see a female Doctor Who, and so it's pretty exciting. And they did announce her companions. She's gonna have companions, I guess, this season. Kind of like there were sort of two companions last season. And they have their announcements are there's going to be Yasmin, played by Mandip Gill, Ryan, played by Tosin Cole, and Graham, played by Bradley Walsh. So she's going to have these 3 friends that are going to be part of the new season.
I don't know who any of them are, but I liked the look of them. I think that that'll be interesting. And I like the fact that there's going to be like a group. That'll make the show a lot more different, a lot more interesting than it has been in the past, because you don't usually get that many people traveling with the Doctor at once. Usually the max is like 2.
Right.
It'll be interesting to have 3 this time.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll kind of go in and out depending on the episode, or if they'll all 3 be there.
It'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we will move on, and we will get back to season 1. This was pretty exciting to come back. How long had it been since Doctor Who had been off the air when they brought it back?
I think that Doctor Who had ended the same year I was born, because I was born in 86, and I believe it ended that same year. So it had been quite a while. There had been a TV movie in the 90s. I don't remember exactly when that happened, but it was a one-off thing and nothing more came of it. And that was the only Doctor Who that aired on TV in that whole time span. So it was about, was it 19 years?
So a long time.
Yeah.
A long time,
because it came back in 2005.
And we had in this reboot, you should say, we had Christopher Eccleston and as the Doctor, and Billy Piper as Rose, the companion. What do you think about him as the Doctor, Christopher Eccleston?
I loved him, and I wish he wouldn't have left when he did. I wanted more of him. I love all the new Doctors, but he's probably one of my favorites. I don't know if it's because he was the first one I saw when the show came back, but I don't know. There was just something about him. I loved his portrayal of the Doctor. He was sort of a kind of darker than past Doctors, but I don't know. His performance was great. I loved him.
Yeah, I really did enjoy him in these 3 episodes also. Very sarcastic. And I don't know, just a really fun Doctor. Didn't take himself too seriously. And so it was a smart choice, I think, to bring him back. He's young, he's charismatic, as opposed to, say, if they'd gone with Peter Capaldi back then, I don't think it would have worked as well. So it was a good choice. So why did he leave? Do you know?
I think I don't remember. I don't remember exactly why, but I feel like I remember like a news article saying something about he was told that he shouldn't stay too long so he wouldn't start getting typecasted.
Typecast as the Doctor, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's really funny.
I don't remember it being like some life-altering reason. It was just he had been advised not to stay too long, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's get into this first episode. We have Rose as the companion, Billy Piper. I guess she'd been like a pop star, I was reading, in Britain.
I believe she was, yes.
Yeah. So, which is interesting. And so in this first episode, basically she's at work, and I think it's like a school or something. Anyway, and it's a what?
I think it's a department store.
Oh, is it? Okay. I forgot that. But anyway, and she's in the basement and the mannequins start to come alive and they start to like attack her. And it's a pretty creepy scene. And she gets saved by this mysterious person. Well, it turns out it's, of course, the doctor. And she has this boyfriend named Mickey. And they have this friend named Clive. And Clive like looks up all these conspiracy theories about the doctor and who the doctor is. And that he's been around throughout all this time. And then it ends up that Mickey is kidnapped and he's replaced by this weird, creepy plastic version of himself. And I guess those are autons.
Yes.
And so then it kind of ends with this battle between the autons, the people, and Rose and the doctor. It felt sort of like a classic kind of horror vibe going on. I like the horror sort of feeling episodes of Doctor Who. I think that's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you think about this episode on a whole?
I really liked it. The Autons are, from what I've heard, they're a classic Doctor Who villain. I don't think I've seen any old episodes with them. And from what I've heard, they're not always shaped like mannequins because they're living plastic, so they can be anything that's plastic. I do not know if this is completely true, but I read online someone saying that they were at one point they were dolls and plastic flowers. I'm not sure. I need to find this episode and watch it myself. But
well, they probably can be anything. I got the impression they could sort of morph into anybody.
Yeah, because basically they're made out of like molten plastic and they can become anything.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a clever villain that it's not something you see anywhere else. Like what other show is going to have living plastic villains?
Well, and I think it really worked as the pilot for this new reboot because they were able to sort of explain who the Doctor is, what was going on, without it feeling like here's expedition dump, boom, kind of thing.
They did a good job with that.
Yeah, it felt really natural, and you also got this sort of sarcasm, this witty nature of the Doctor. In just a few scenes, he was able to make an impact. And so, I really enjoyed this episode. What do you think of Rose, sort of her introduction as a companion and in this episode?
I really like Rose. There are some people who love Rose, like obsessively love her, say she's the best companion ever. I don't know that I necessarily feel that way, but I love her anyway. I think she's a great companion. And while I have others that I like more than Rose, she's still way up there. She's one of my favorite companions, probably. I love her attitude. I love the people that's around her because, like, in the old series, you would have companions. They would just come aboard the TARDIS and you'd never hear about their life outside of the TARDIS ever again. But with this new series, you see her family on a semi-regular basis. They'll go home from time to time. And I love her mother. And eventually, I love Mickey. I do not love him in this first episode. But he has some great character growth coming up. And I love Rose. I love her backstory. I love her family. She's just a great person to build the story around.
Yeah. Well, and she was smart and strong without falling into certain cliches. Like she certainly wasn't like the sort of warrior woman, but she also wasn't sort of the ingenue, the sweet innocent. Like she was a good like in between, I think, for a female character.
She's a good normal person.
Yeah. Exactly right. I agree. And I really did love the plastic Mickey. That was so creepy. It looked so weird.
My one beef with the show is that I thought it was really, really cheesy when he was eaten by the garbage can and the garbage can belched. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's
over the top.
I just roll my eyes every time it happens.
So he survives that then. He's
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't him at the end, or that wasn't the plastic version of him at the end. That was actually Mickey.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, well, the idea that she wouldn't realize that he was this weird plastic version is ridiculous, but like but I don't know.
So
He just looks
shiny. I
super
don't know how
creepy.
she didn't see it.
What's that?
He was so shiny. I don't know how she didn't
Yeah.
see it.
He looked so weird. It's like she's going on a date with a a Ken doll.
Yeah, that's
Like.
a good example. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, it was funny. Uh, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I'm excited because I feel like with Stephen Moffat in the last season that we watched together, it was very like twist, 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 and trying to create these story arcs and stuff like that. And so I can already tell, like in this beginning part, that it's more sort of that it's not trying to manipulate you in that way as much. It's these more standalone episodes, and so I think I'm gonna really enjoy this season even more than the one I've seen.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Stephen Moffat like you do, but the first 4 seasons of Doctor Who are by far my favorite.
Yeah.
Season 4 is probably my favorite season. I really like what Russell T Davies did with the show. I like how he portrayed the characters. I like the dynamic between the characters and the Doctor. I liked how he made the characters have lives outside of the Doctor.
Yeah.
I love everything that he brought to the show, and I miss a lot of that with Stephen Moffat's episodes. Like I said, I don't dislike Stephen Moffat, but I liked Russell T Davies' version of the show a little better.
Yeah. Who was the Doctor in season 4?
Is the next one, the 10th Doctor, David Tennant.
Tennant. Right.
That was his last season.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, so moving on, I guess what grade would you give the episode 1 from between a 1 to 10? What would you score it?
I should have thought about this in advance. Maybe an 8.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I give it an 8. I thought it was really solid, but it wasn't like my favorite I've ever seen. But it was really solid, a good way to start a new reboot. Okay, so then we have episode 2. This was called The End of the World. They go ahead of time, and I am realizing that I prefer the Doctor Who episodes that go back in time more than I like the ones that go ahead in time. Just my personal
probably
preference.
the exact opposite. This episode is one of my favorite episodes of all time.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It's just a little too. I don't know. I really because I loved in the last season the Thin Ice. Where they went back in time, and I thought that one was so good. So I'm just realizing that that's my preference, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So, okay. So this one, they go to year 5 billion. And the Earth is going to be destroyed. And they have the last pure human. And she has had so many surgeries that she looks like a piece of stretched canvas, literally. And she has to have these guards come and spray her with this lotion. And it's quite the character. Very, very creepy. And she still wants to I was a little bit confused by her plan, to be honest. So she's sending out these spiders to kill people on this space station because she wants to.
I don't think the spiders were initially supposed to kill everyone. I think they were killing a few people. What she was trying to do was manufacture a hostage situation with herself in the middle. And she was going to extort all these people for money. So once these people paid the money to her pretend evil person who is supposedly sending out these robotic spiders, then she was going to call it off. And then most of the people would be fine in the end. She was just making it seem like someone else was doing this, but she was going to be taking the money from all these people who were going to be in fear for their lives. But she also said at the end that her backup plan, should this have failed, was she bought stock in all of their companies. So they were going to get an insurance payout, and her stock prices were going to go up, and she'd make money even if they all died.
Huh. Okay. I guess that makes sense. I found it a little confusing.
Yeah,
In this
I
episode.
had to watch it a couple times before I completely understood it too, because
Okay.
it is a little bit confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of what she was trying to do. And she wants the money to be able to do even more surgeries, right?
Partly, and she just wants money because she's
Greedy.
evil and greedy.
Yeah. So, and then there's this, like, the spiders turn off the, like, there's like these shields to the sun.
So the sun has basically expanded exponentially, and it's basically about to swallow the Earth, and they're sort of orbiting the Earth right now. So the sun is like right there. So these shields are protecting the space station from being obliterated by the heat of the sun. So she's turning them off in places so that they'll maybe kill a couple people and cause massive damage so that it'll freak everybody out in the space station.
And then she can manipulate them, I guess,
Yes.
if they're in chaos.
Yep.
Well, yeah, getting captured basically. And
she's trapped in a room.
Yeah, she's trapped in the room, and so like the doctor has to figure all this out, figure out what Cassandra is her name, the stretched lady, what her plan is, and he has to save Rose and all of this before Earth gets destroyed. And they're all there to watch the final destruction of Earth. And basically, like in the end, he ends up bringing back the shields and turning back the shields, but Cassandra gets like exposed to the radiation, and she doesn't have her moisturizer, and so she like ends up she can't take it,
drying up and dying,
yeah,
floating sort of.
So that was pretty weird. And so you already said you really liked this episode. What do you especially like about it so much?
I love all the variations of the aliens that they designed. I think the face of Bo is a great design. I liked the mocks of Balhoun. I loved the Forest of Cheem, and I wish that they would come back. They're like one of my top wished for alien species to return. I really want to know more about the Forest of Cheem. I want him to go to whatever planet they move to and just see their culture. I liked Jabe. I wish he hadn't died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the idea of trees becoming human-like. It's just such a cool idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, she was good. I liked her too.
I also really liked Cassandra's misinformation about Earth's history. I loved her description of the ostrich, how it had a 50-foot wingspan and breathed fire. And I loved that she brought out this old jukebox and said that it was called an iPod.
Yeah,
She wanted to play some classical music from Earth's past, but it was like Britney Spears Toxic.
Yeah.
It was so funny. That's one of my favorite parts. I think if they played Tainted Love and Toxic, it was so funny.
It's a lot of really cool elements. I guess I was just kind of confused, so it was a little bit harder for me to sort of enjoy it as much. But I did like it. It was good, and I liked the doctor. He was really fun in the episode. He had to think quickly on his feet, and in order to save Rose. And it was definitely very creative and very creepy and weird. And oh man, that stretched out. I mean, it was very creepy.
Yeah, I liked Cassandra as a villain. She's so I like horrible and hilarious people. So I really liked her. She's awful, but she's funny. So
right.
She's probably one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, she was definitely very unique. That's for sure. So I can see why. So this one for me, I would say this one is more like since I did think it was kind of confusing, I would give this more like a 6.5 for me, but you're going to have it way higher, I'm sure.
I'm probably just going to give it a 10 because this is one of my favorite
Yeah.
episodes.
Cool.
There were probably like a few problems here and there, but I liked it, and
Yeah.
this is one of my favorite episodes. It's one that I always want to watch with people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool. Great. So let's move on to episode 3. So this one, I loved this episode. I thought it was so fun. This is one where they go back in time, and I forgot to mention. So this episode 2 is called "The End of the World," and episode 3 is called "The Unquiet Dead," which is a very good title. And in this one, they go back in time to 1869, the Doctor and Rose, and they go back to this funeral parlor. And there is this man who runs the funeral parlor, and he has this servant who is a medium, kind of a clairvoyant. And there's basically like this mysterious sort of vapor, steam, whatever you want to call it, that is sort of turning these dead bodies into sort of zombies, kind of basically.
Basically.
Yeah, and there's this connection between this servant woman and the zombies and everything like that, and so end up meeting Charles Dickens, and so it becomes. So these people kidnap Rose, and so then the Doctor and Charles Dickens end up like kind of hunting down Rose and trying to figure everything out. And there's lots of sort of I loved how they were both, Rose and the Doctor were both sort of fanboying out over Charles Dickens. They were like, "Ooh, what did you think about I don't know, I can't remember, the Old Curiosity Shop, or when did you write that, and what were you thinking there?" And that was so fun. I loved the actor who played Charles Dickens. I thought he was great. And this is on the inaugural sort of run of Christmas Carol, and it just had come out. So this is probably, I would think, a Christmas episode of some kind. And I really liked everything involving Charles Dickens. It's Simon Callow was the actor who played Charles Dickens. He was great, I thought. And it ends up that basically this lady Gwyneth ends up kind of sacrificing herself because she's this bridge between the afterlife and these zombies or whatever. And they find out that the zombies can't handle gas, and so she ends up becoming this sort of bridge with the gas and the fire. And anyway, they're able to get rid of the zombies, and I just loved it. I thought this was so entertaining. I loved all the dialogue. I loved everything with Charles Dickens because I love Dickens, and I really liked the horror elements with the zombies and with the, I thought it was sort of creepy, and I don't know. I just thought it was so entertaining. I had a huge smile on my face watching it.
Okay, so I think you might have been confused on a little bit of it. They're not from the afterlife. They're not like actually coming back from the dead. The vapor, the gas, the gas is actually creatures from another planet. The Gelf.
Okay, that's right.
So there was like they call
she's
it
like a bridge. Like she's like, yeah. She connects the two. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
okay.
There's like a rift in time and space. It's like a wormhole, basically.
Okay.
A very small wormhole, and they're leaking through this wormhole. So wherever they're from, they're made of gas. And it sounded like maybe they'd had bodies at one point, but their bodies had been destroyed. They say in the war, which I'm thinking is the Time War. I'm pretty sure it's the Time War.
Oh, okay.
Where the Doctor has fought in the past. And
okay, so I misunderstood that. I thought it was okay. I didn't realize that it was to another planet, not to, or I forgot. That makes sense.
Yeah. Basically, It's sort of a science fiction explanation of ghosts.
Right.
Which I feel like they've done similar things with other creatures. Like they have one that's witches, they have a werewolf, vampires. So they like to take an old myth or magic type thing and put a science fiction twist on it. And I think this is one of my favorites when they do that, because I loved the idea that ghosts are actually gas aliens from another world. It's such an interesting idea, and I loved the execution of it. I think they did a good job with this.
It really is, and they did a good job sort of creating tension, and like I said, bringing in some of those sort of horror elements into the story, and I don't know, I just loved everything with Charles Dickens. I thought it was so fun, and you get to see him kind of very excited about Christmas Carol, and and I don't know, I thought it was really entertaining. I liked all the performances.
Yeah,
and
they got some great actors for this.
Yes. Yeah. And I guess it actually aired in April. It's interesting because it definitely feels almost like a Christmas episode.
Yeah, I noticed that when I watched it last night. I thought they really could have maybe saved this for a Christmas special.
Yeah. I don't know. And I guess I'm a sucker for period piece stuff in general. And it almost reminded me a little bit of like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is something that I actually really enjoyed. And it got really harshly criticized in the reviews, but I thought it was really fun, this sort of mashup of something that was sort of classic, Jane Austen with like zombies and these, girls that I love, Lizzie and Jane and everybody, like killing zombies and being tough and kick butt and everything. And so I felt a little bit like that, so it's Charles Dickens and sort of the proper and prim of a period piece matched with zombies and Doctor Who and everything else. And so I think I got that same kind of enjoyment. What score out of like 1 to 10, why would you rank this? How would you rank this episode?
I would probably give it somewhere between 8 and 9, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 9.5. This may be my favorite episode I've seen so far. I really liked it. I haven't seen enough to say that this was a perfect episode, but I thought it was darn entertaining. I really enjoyed it. So
it's one of my favorites of the period pieces.
Yeah, I bet. So that is the first 3 episodes of Doctor Who season 1, and we will try. It's going to be crazy the next couple months, but we'll try to get together as soon as we can to talk about 4, 5, and 6, and that will be great. And so, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at John J. North. I have a YouTube channel. It doesn't have a set link, but I'm sure Rachel will link it in the description.
Yeah, I will.
I have Facebook, Tumblr. You can find all that on my channel too, but Twitter and YouTube are probably the best places to look for me.
Yeah, I'll have all that information in the description section. So you can find this podcast on iTunes now, Rachel's Reviews, and you can follow me on Twitter and all the social media at Smiling LDS Girl. I'll have links for all of that down below. And so thanks so much. We also are up and running with my Hallmarkies podcast, and the Christmas countdown starts this weekend, which is crazy but so fun. So you want to check that out as well. And thanks so much for joining me to talk about this. It's going to be a fun little journey that we're probably going to be doing for the next 10 years of our life. It's going to take forever.
It probably won't take that long, but it will be a good long series.
Yeah. But it'll be a lot of fun. So thanks so much, and we will we'll talk again soon.
Okay. Bye.